Alright, Bonehawks, this video is all about Quan. I am going to go through and we are going to show you how to get started with everybody's favorite bald sorcerer. If you're new around here, I am the Quan Father. I've championed this character in tournaments and exhibitions and all sorts of things since 2011. And he's slowly become kind of my favorite character. So we're going to go through and yeah, starting with normals and kind of overall game plan, moving on to special moves and then some cameo pairings and then just maybe a couple scrap things at the end. So by the end, you'll be ready to go, ready to get started with Quan. Let's get into it.
Accept your death.
So starting with general game plan, obviously in this game you can pick different cameos and play characters in a variety of different ways, but Quan definitely has the strongest zoning in this game. Just some of the best projectiles, the best options, and we'll kind of go over what these all do in the special moves, but if you can pick a cameo that kind of plays to that strength, you can do that. Where Quan is weakest is when he's getting pressured because his kind of get out of trouble buttons are kind of slow. And his down one, which is his fastest button at 9 frames, fastest poke at 9 frames, is unsafe at -10, which is punishable by quite a few characters. Most characters with a poke of some sort. And characters like Johnny Cage will completely blow you up for it, so you have to be careful when using that move. So starting with notable normal attacks, there's a few that you should be aware of here. He has his standing 4, which is the returning Warlock kick in the butt move, which doesn't really kick him in the butt anymore, it's more of like a shoulder hit. So it's a high attack, so be aware of that. But it kind of allows for a full screen presence anywhere. And if you're in a zoning war, like say someone throws on the Sub-Zero cameo, just throw that and kick them right out of it. So if they're aware of it, maybe they'll be ducking, but that is an option if you kind of see someone doing something full screen, you want to stop it. Sub-Zero Ice Ball, same idea, you're just standing forward, kick them right out of it. So very, very useful move. And it also tracks, so if they're in the air, it'll hit them in the air. So let's say we launch off of a string in the air, standing 4 will now be an aerial attack and hit them out of the air. So good to know. Very, very strong move. Very, very unique move in this game. I don't believe any other character has quite something like it. So very good, very, very good. Play around with your options on that, especially in matchup specifics. We will be going over specific matchups in future videos. This is going to be like a full Quan channel, so anything Quan related, there'll be a guide on it somewhere down the line. But we're still learning ourselves, so baby steps. Next notable move is his standing 3, which is a ridiculously good anti-air. It has a really huge aerial hitbox. Hits out in front of him, has decent range, can kind of catch people coming in. So yeah, you think people are just going to get a little bit too hasty coming in, just throw this one out. And this one is super unique in the fact that you can jump cancel out of it. So you just hold up and forward as you do this move, and he'll jump right afterwards. The beautiful thing is, you don't even have to hit confirm that. You can just do this every single time. If it whiffs, he won't jump. If they block it, it won't jump, even if you're holding down and forward. So just always hold down and forward whenever you throw this move out. There really is no reason not to. And then we'll be going over the combos later on, but yeah, this normal is extremely good. I'm still trying to get used to using it more myself. I get a little bit too reliant on this one here, but yeah. Another thing that Quan lacks is a decent mid attack. He has his forward 2, which is that one, decent range, and he has back 3, which like a forward dash into back 3 covers a lot of space. So these are going to be kind of your 2 options to close in and get things started against your opponent. Forward 3 leads to a combo, which we're going to go over later. I just wanted to talk about the moves first. This one is just more of a knockdown, which is still useful in some instances. And lastly, notable normal is his down 4. Pretty crazy range for being a low. And plus 15 on hit is pretty freaking good. So yeah, I try and use this a lot. Again, it kind of plays in favor with this range and also this range. So as long as you're mixing stuff up, if you don't want to kind of commit to getting close to them and still want to hit them with a low, maybe check some movement, you know? Didn't mean to do that, but that's a little bit of spoiler for later. And that's it for his normal attacks. Let's go into his combo strings. Starting with 1-2-2, the string has decent range and it also pushes back quite a bit. Can use it as a punish. Standing 1 is his fastest button at 8 frames. So again, Quan a little bit slow, but this string, you can use it as a combo ender, I suppose. You can just kind of throw it out in the spacing mage. I don't generally recommend whiffing moves too often though. So although this does have kind of nice range, you do leave yourself vulnerable if you want to whiff this. Which whiff means just to throw it out, even though it's not going to hit. The last hit, keep in mind it's a high though, but it does have some pretty decent range, so you could catch somebody off guard, but just be a little bit careful with it. Moving on to his 2-1 string, and this is probably one of his better actual pressure options that he has. He's no Johnny Cage or anything, that's for sure, but I mean, it's a 12-frame startup, -2 on block. This one is -3 on block. And the mix-up is kind of when this is just staggerable, right? When are you going to stop? Because it goes into 2 overheads. Or you can do a low. So overhead, you could even stop it there, and you're safe at -5. You do the whole thing, you're -8. So be careful. Whole thing could be punished by some quick attacks, something like maybe Lee May's pass reversal or something like that. And then you always have the low option here, which is quite a bit slower. So, and here's what you need to know about your opponent countering this. So you can also mix this up and do it with his low tentacle, which we're going to get into special moves later, but I just want to go over the frames. So the startup on that and his low option here is 20 frames, whereas his overheads are 12 and 13 frames respectively. So your opponent, if they know the matchup, is blocking high and then low and then high and then low, and that's going to beat all of your options. So you need to know that. If you have a Kameo that has a low or overhead attack, that might be a good option to kind of throw in here, depending on how safe it is, isn't. Again, that's up to you and your personal Kameo choice and your own creativity. So, but I find that this string is very good for staggering, and even if you just want to create some space, stagger it. Don't even necessarily need to do something because his walk back speed is so good, but you should be dash blocking this game anyways. But yeah, you can just stagger it and then create some space. Go back to zoning. Depending again on how you want to play, this is the, in my opinion, the optimal way to play him. Just kind of what he's made to do. So that's his getaway is pretty good. Both his walk speeds are pretty good. His forward walk speed, and I mentioned this in a video before, you can tell kind of a little bit about what a character likes to do or is supposed to do by their walk speed. So even though he has some decent walk back speed, his walk forward speed is quite a bit better because, you know, obviously his strength is to keep away, so they make it easier for him to get in, and then a little bit slower for him to get out. Just a little tidbit of information there for you. So 4-2-1 is a good get off me kind of thing. Really good hit advantage, 53 hit advantage there. A little bit less if you use it in combos, but still really good for setting up a portal, setting up any other kind of weird things that we're going to get into. Yeah, it's again one of his really only decent mid attack that he has. Again, other than that, but yeah, so throw that out. But just keep in mind you're definitely losing your turn as soon as if somebody blocks it. You're -13. A little bit of pushback there, but yeah, it's. You just be careful afterwards. I try and read movement more and try and catch people moving in and hit them with it, just to try and, again, knock them away. Alright, now for the back 3 string. So this is a combo starter. As you can see there. Boom, boom, boom. 1-1-3, which is the other string we're going to talk about. But yeah, you want to make sure that you hit confirm this, because if you stop this, say your opponent blocks this, you're safe at -7 right here. Okay, but if you commit to the whole thing, overcommit, you're kind of leaving yourself wide open. It is a bit of a shorter recovery, but there's really no reason to do that. You can easily hit confirm and hit the 2 part of the combo late. Just do the first 2 hits, make sure that they hit. Usually I'm doing this again to check some movement, see if someone's coming in. Boom, boom, press the 2, go into your combo. 1-3 is an overhead. This is going to be your main combo extender, like I was showing you earlier, 1-3. But you can just throw it out in general if you want to. -7 on block. So you're giving up your turn, more of a knowledge check just to see if they expect this kind of thing coming. And then you also have the option of this on top of that. So yeah, not much else to say about that. You just use it to extend in your combos, and you can just throw it out every once in a while if you want. And finally for strings we have forward 4-4, which is just 2 high kicks. Again, kind of good for checking movement. I tend to use this as my main combo ender because it seems to have the most hit advantage at the end of a combo. But yeah, if you're just going to throw this out, you can kind of just throw it out, see if people are just going to walk into it. It doesn't have the greatest range for something like that, but it is kind of a use for it. You have that as well that has a little bit more range, and of course your back 3. So I would use this more as a combo ender because it's fast, and they're usually in the air anyways. so I don't have any issues hitting that. It's fairly quick and easy to do. I don't usually talk on the air string part of things, but Quan has some interesting ones, like 1-2-2 hits them full screen. Again, might be useful to start your zoning up if you want to do that. And the 2-1 is something that you use mainly in his combos. So that's actually a pretty important one because it's a bounce. Also, the animation, kind of a cool kind of shout out to MKX there with his neutral jump punch in that game, which was ridiculous if you remember that. Okay, special move time. Starting with the head rush. Just a straightforward projectile. It's a high, so be aware of that. Fairly quick. This is going to be one of your main attacks when you start your zoning offense. The enhanced version makes it a big chomp chomp skull that will destroy all projectiles in its way, and you can change the speed to make it slow. That's used for setups, I find, and then you can also make it fast to try and catch somebody off guard, because people try to react to it and jump over it sometimes, and that will just completely blast them in the face and be like, whoa, 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 what am I doing? What happened? What happened to the slow one? Or you can just do it as itself for like just kind of a medium one, but mixing up some speed is probably good. And the slow one is kind of, you have a lot of time behind that one to set up whatever you want, and they can't really throw anything at you. Just be wary of teleport characters, because that is a thing, unfortunately. You can also do this move in the air, at kind of whatever height you want. It's going to be more negative the higher that you are, obviously, because he has to drop down. But you can do instant air ones. They're nothing great. We get +1 on block. That's definitely better than the MKX air skulls. Yeah, just an option. Kind of makes it almost like, yeah, like a really good mid projectile. So you can do it enhanced too. I haven't really found a use for that one yet, but +7, that might be a thing. Alright, so Cycle Skull is an overhead. You can place it at different points of the screen, either close, medium, or far. Or very far, with going up. And then the enhanced one just tracks them and launches them. And you can actually get a combo off of this into standing 4 into the sky drop. So 242 damage, which whether that's worth it for a bar for you or not, I don't really know. But if you're zoning, you're going to be building bar like crazy with Quan Chi. And my thing is always to, if you're sitting on 3 bars, you know, especially if you're zoning, just use a bar. You're going to be building it back anyways, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. This move, by the way, is 2 hits on its own. At first, I thought that the standing 4 comboed into it because I was like, oh, 2 hits. No, but this move is just 2 hits on its own. So don't be fooled by that if you're trying to combo into that from there. Okay, next one is the one that I've been most excited to kind of dive into and kind of figure out, and that is the Field of Bones, as I have called it, the Bone Dome. So we want to make sure we put him in the Bone Dome. We have a bunch of active frames there, so it's a bunch of time that can't really do anything, and of course the enhanced one just kind of keeps the cage up. We can only jump forward out of it, so it kind of leaves us to boom, or whatever we want at them. But yeah, one interesting thing to note about this move is that standing 4 will combo into it. So that is really good information to know. We're full screen and you see an opportunity to punish with the standing 4. Throw him in the Bone Dome, you know. Use that bar meter, get him up there, because you're going to start zoning with your portal, and you're going to be building that bar back anyways, and it's just a super good move. So I mean, yeah. Again, there's different ranges you can do it at. It does have a certain kind of area of effect on it, but I wouldn't necessarily use it for zoning per se, because if they do block it, it's -21, which gives up a lot of time for them to kind of move in on it and close that space up. So I would use it for hit confirms from this into that, or if you're fairly certain, like sometimes if you do a combo attack or something, I've noticed people will just immediately get up and start rushing in right away, something like that, and just try and catch them moving on wake up. If they're doing anything but blocking, it'll catch them. So that's a good strategy with that. But just be careful just throwing it out because, again, and you are vulnerable while you activate it too. So 25 frame startup. I could jump over that or teleport or something like that. So just, I would use this more for read. It is a very, very good move and super unique. I love his design. The way that they did all of his special moves and everything is just, he's just so unique in this game. Alright, so Falling Death, aka Skydrop. This is his armored move, so this is what you want to use on Wake Up, or to blow up some gaps. It is a big improvement over MKX in the fact that it does have, this time around, an aerial hitbox. So it'll hit them if they're jumping at all, which is really nice. But as per usual, Skydrop goodness, it is death on block. So minus 16 right in your face. So use it sparingly. One nice thing about this move though, and it definitely took it into account because Quan has some problems dealing with pressure. If he does manage to get it out, even if it's blocked, it moves him to the other side. So if you're cornered and like you really like need to find out like nothing's working to get out of that corner, you can just throw this out. Even if it's blocked, at least you're on the other side. Hope that your opponent doesn't have some sort of a punish that can move that around. But yeah, it's just something to note. From the Fog, this is a low attack. Like I was stating earlier, you can kind of mix it up in this string with overhead lows. Just make sure that your opponent understands, or that you know whether your opponent understands, because again, similar to Skydrop, this isn't very safe, especially if you're doing it up close. Minus 22. It's actually more unsafe than Skydrop. But here's the thing with Quan Chi, is he can use this move to combo if he enhances it, but it uses 2 bars of meter to combo, which is quite expensive. So again, if you can find like a Kameo or something to kind of assist you in getting some combo launchers or combos starting, because yes, it's a low, you can turn it into a launcher. I don't think that 2 bars is really necessary for something like this, but perhaps NetherRealm QA knows something that I don't. They're the experts, not me. I'm just here to show you all the things you can do and how to string it all together. So, for being so unsafe though, it does have some pretty good range. You can kind of do it pretty much anywhere in sweep distance. Will kind of hit. So you could use it to check movement if you wanted to. Kind of an unsafe way to do so, but depending on how much range you have between you and your opponent, you might get away with it. Alright, so now for the main event. The big juicy part of this is the Zone of Power, and this is where he's going to maintain most of his time if you're going to be zoning, because it changes his projectiles. So his main projectile, which is this one, you have the Zone of Power, makes it that one, which does 114 damage altogether if the opponent hits. It hits the opponent, and if the opponent blocks, it does 35 damage and chip. So, and it's plus 11, which at an 18 frame startup means it's a 7 frame startup if you choose to do this again. So some things that you should know about the Zone of Power. Generally speaking, you get 2 uses of a move unless it's a meter burn move, an enhanced move. Then it will close the portal immediately. So you can, in strategy wise, you could do 2 of these. Or if you wanted to, you could do 1 of these. Then use your Mar because it's going to go away anyways. And then build it back up again. So look at all that chip damage. That's just chip damage. It's like almost over 300 damage there, just from them blocking these things. Yeah, so managing this is quite good. You need to understand exactly what it does. So our next move, which is that one there, if we have the Zone of Power up, we get that, and if we enhance it, we still get that overhead one that comes straight down, as well as the ones that are coming forward. This is great for checking movement, for stopping people from kind of going anywhere, because it'll stop them in their place. It's an overhead, and it stops them from kind of going forward. The Enhanced Skull will actually teleport the opponent for a combo. Set it up, do it all again. Or you can have it so it just kind of drops them right back where they were full screen if you don't really want to combo them. Which, whatever, that's up to you. It's your own personal thing. But yeah, the main thing is just knowing that 2 attacks will close the portal. But that's not necessarily when the portal will close, because as you can see, it's still staying open. It has a duration window. It's not going to stay open the whole time. It will go away over time, but just know that 2 attacks, and it's gone. So don't feel too pressured to do something right off the bat with it. Make sure you make your reads around and that you're kind of aware of how much time you have before it goes away. Managing this is super important, and that's where understanding frame data is good. Understanding how to end your combos correctly. That's again why I ended with that one, because it has a lot of hit advantage that allows me to kind of get this up for free. So even though you have a 12 frame startup, the startup is really fast, there's a recovery frame of 44. So you need 56 frames in total in order to make this thing completely safe. Or at least completely neutral. So that you can, it's either a race between whether you do your projectiles first or whether your opponent tries to counter. So keep that in mind. Another fun part of this is that you can actually move it around with you. If you hold the 3 button and press forward or backwards, you can move it forward or backwards. If you block with Quan Chi, you can just move the portal without moving Quan Chi with it. And the really cool thing about this is that you can move it in any state. So let's say that Sindel is trying to like pressure us and like push us out of the portal. Even though we're in block pressure, we can just move the portal with us, even though Sindel's trying to push it out of us, just by holding the button in a direction to move it alongside with us. Here's an example. We're going to call the portal. Even though we got that pressure going, we're going to bring that portal with us. Again, there's a timer on it, so, but I mean, if it's good. It's useful in my opinion because you can see where it is. Because sometimes if they're going to pressure you and push you off screen, you can't see exactly when this goes away. So bring it with you, even if you're not able to use it. Kind of help you see, you know, like, okay, still on screen, still on screen, still on screen. Now it's gone. Now I can summon another one. Because if you get off screen and you can't see it anymore, and you're trying to summon it, and you just keep doing these things, like, why isn't my portal coming up? Why isn't my portal coming up? So just having an eye on it, even if you can't use it, is helpful in my opinion. And when I said you can move it in any state, I really mean any state. There you go. So again, even though we didn't get to use it, we could still see that that it was there, and then we saw it go away, so we know that we're able to summon another one, even though we were getting comboed that whole time. Also, side note, why is Sindel's health bar smoking? I don't know why that's a thing. Zone of Power also has an enhanced version as well that will kind of push your opponent away from you. This you can move around with you, but it doesn't last very long. There's not really a huge point in doing so. What I've been using this for is, out of like a well-timed poke, you poke into this to create some pressure. Kind of force them off of you that way. It's a bar of meter, but with a character that has kind of poor defense, it's a pretty good option. Just keep in mind I have had the poke punished before by somebody else's poke, but by the time that they hit me, my portal was already active and pushing them away anyways, so it didn't really matter. So let's go into some basic combos, and this is where Quan Chi is kind of lackluster and will rely on your cameos to kind of extend some combos for him, or get some crazy setups. There's some crazy stuff you can do with Jax. But yeah, basically you have a couple different launchers here. You have this enhanced, which is your 2-bar, which is obviously going to be expensive. You can end that in a couple different ways, depending on what you want. Generally, I find I get the most damage if I punish something with the 2-1-4 into some sort of a launcher. 1-2 is also his quickest punish to get a combo going. You would just need some sort of extender after that. Again, by default, he has this one. Jump up. Forward 4-4. Additionally, like earlier, we said 1-3. Good combo starter. Again, you can do the lick into the jump cancel, the 2-1 to bounce. And of course, you can do this one. Boom, boom. So if you do get a standing 3, that combo can vary just a little bit, because you do the jump 2-1, and then you do 1-3 after that, where before we were doing it before. And then, there you go. Show you one more time. Use a different combo ender there, but Mix up your enders. I find they're both fairly easy to hit. Again, I just have this one has, I think, 7 frames more hit advantage than the 4-2-1. So I like to use that because I like to zone, and I'm going to set up my portal. I'm going to do my combo, whatever my little cheeky combo is. I'm going to set up my portal. I'm going to keep you away from me as long as you can. There's a little combo off of that guy, if you want to do that. Up to you. So off of your back 3-4-2 string, you're already launching them airborne, so getting your air combo after that is not exactly the easiest thing in the world. So I usually go for the 1-3 combo extender off of that, and then whatever your ender wants to be. Again, depending on the character, if you have like Jack's Kameo, you could probably do a catch gotcha grab in the air, extend your combo that way. That's just the basic Kameo-less combos with Quan. You also do have a 1-bar combo you can do as well off the Psycho Skull, off of his 1-2, which is his fastest launcher, so you could use this as a good punisher. You'll probably need some sort of a Kameo to assist you with this. I have Shujinkydink, so here's kind of what my combo looks like. The 384 for a bar there. It's not too terrible. But yeah, you definitely... Quan doesn't have a whole lot of options to combo on this, other than maybe just ending it with a standing 4 into the tentacle. If I can do that quickly here just to show you. I guess you could meter burn the tentacle, but then you're at 3 bars, and I definitely don't think that's worth it. So definitely play around with that one. So let's talk cameos, because there's a few different cameos that I would recommend for him, depending on what you want to do. I use Shujinkydink just because it's cool to see him back in this game, and it just reminds me of the 3D era, and when I started, and it's just a lot of nostalgia for me. So I really like the character, and plus he's really funny. Just some of the things that he does is just hilarious, just suits my personality. So like, what Shujinkydink does in a couple different ways for Quan is he can add different projectiles, so depending on the matchup, we get an extra projectile there with that. And then we also get a combo launcher depending on the matchup with Shujinkydink. Some Shujinkydink matchups aren't very good. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Shujinkydink because not very many people use him. But if you want to use him with Quan, he's kind of what I rock. Helps extend my combos a little bit. So there's 34% there, or sorry, 341 damage meterless into a portal setup. So that's pretty good. I can extend it with meter if I want to. There's 410, 2 bars. Again, Quan is expensive if you want to use meter, but it hits them full screen, you're back to party time. So if you want to like get that, if you're getting down to just a little nitty-gritty bit of damage that you need to chip them out or whatever, it might be worth it to use those 2 bars to extend your combo, just to get yourself this guy, just to get that little bit of extra chip, because those are mid projectiles, so they can't duck them. They can flawless block them, and if you're fighting against Quan, that is a thing that you should be aware of, that you can flawless block those projectiles, and it will negate all the chip damage. So you have to be a little bit more creative and make sure that you're using everything correctly if you see your opponent start to do that. Lastly, before I move on from Shujinkydink, I just want to say that in the mirror match, he steals the Bone Dome, and he turns it into a actual combo starter when it usually isn't. So that's kind of cool. He also steals the head rush move, but if the opponent is standing in their zone of power, because Shujinkydink is actually stealing the move, it turns his projectiles into the purple ones. So you could be standing in here, you have Shujinkydink throwing projectiles, you're throwing projectiles. Yeah, pretty crazy. Anyway, some other ideas of cameos. So the first one from more of a zoning perspective, if you're fighting against a character like, say, Liu Kang or something that has like their own projectile that can destroy your projectiles, who might be able to counter zone a little bit, Motaro is a good choice. They made some really nice changes with his reflect. You can just kind of throw him in front of you here, he's just walking forward. You're just throwing whatever you want. It goes away. He's also got, of course, his teleport, so you can just teleport, say your opponent throws a projectile, you just teleport behind them. Go for a punish. And then, of course, from the pure zoning perspective of Motaro, do a tail turret, and just harass them with projectiles on top of that. So depending on the character that you're fighting against, Motaro can be a pretty unfair choice for Quan Chi. Sector is another good one, obviously to help with zoning with his missiles, kind of position either in front or behind, depending on what you want to read your opponent doing. And of course, you know, you've got the teleport as well, which will check movement really, really quickly, and flamethrower to kind of close that distance, keep that kind of sweep distance maintained, on top of kind of helping to keep Quan Chi back. You can extend your combos using the up missile and his head rush, which is extremely unique. So there you go, whether you want to use meter from that. So those are some extra combo options. Sector is also solid Kameo in general, but I think really, really fits Quan Chi. Serena is a fantastic option using her He Has Blades move, obviously to extend combos, to get more damage meterlessly. $384 damage for no bar there. Pretty nice stuff. Also just good again with the zoning, you know. Throwing those things out on top of. And she's got her little quick forward one, as well as stealing your meter. As you're zoning, not even gaining meter for getting hit. So works very, very well with Quan Chi. The last one I'll mention is Striker for a couple different reasons. A, you can use his grenades. This kind of counter zoning as well to what you're already doing. He adds kind of a mix to the table. There's overhead and low attacks. Full screen, of course. Just grab you, hold you there for a minute, give you some hit advantage to maybe put out your portal. All in all, this game can be played however you want. These are just some cameos that I think might play to the strengths of Quan Chi a little bit better than the others. But also one that I've heard of is Jax. Lots of people have quoted saying that Jax has some really, really good setups with Quan. Feel free to share any cameo stuff that you have as well. We're a community here. We're just all trying to get better because I'm sure there's lots of sauce out there. That's really it for my complete beginner's guide of Quan Chi. This is everything that you need to get started. I'll be posting, again, more character-specific guides as we go down, how to tackle fighting different characters, their strengths and weaknesses, matchups, and that kind of a thing. So, yeah. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.